You get a canceled loan. You get a canceled loan. Everybody gets a canceled loan. What is going on, you guys? My name is Drew Romeo here with Freedom Nation. Here in this video, we're going to be talking about all about student loans, the forgiveness, the cancellations, what's happening, what's real, what's not, and how likely is this bill to pass. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now. Let's go. All right, guys, here we're on my computer right now. Let's take a look at this ridiculous number together. Look at this thing. I want you to see this so everyone can believe me, right? The Federal Reserve estimates that in Q3 of 2020, Americans owed more than $1.7 trillion in student loans, an increase from 4% compared to Q3 of 2019. This is ridiculous because the stimulus package, or whatever, the pandemic package that Joe Biden has actually proposing right now is 1.9 trillion. Just to know that the student debt alone almost matches that is ridiculous. So with that being said, what is he planning to do about it? What is he proposing? So we're gonna take a look at that even further. So with Joe Biden, he has what's called the Cancel Student Loans 3 Ways Plan. Now this was last week, and so this was something that he's proposed. When I say last week, how many days? What is it, 19? So this was about 3 days ago when he proposed this, and then when this article was written. And so 3 different ways. How's it done? Way number 1 is this: student loan cancellation up front. And what that is where he would call for Congress to cancel $10,000 of federally backed student loans from all borrowers across the board, without taking into consideration what your income is or whatever. So everyone's equally getting $10,000 wiped away, right? The statistics do show that those higher income earners or higher income households do hold a higher number of when it comes to student loans, but they also have a higher income to handle that, right? To offset that. So $10,000 across the board. Here's another option that could be possibly happening is number 2, which is called the loan cancellation future, which simply says that Joe Biden wants to cancel student loans in the future, meaning that in addition to the $10,000 cut across the board, right, that you will have forgiveness that happens 20 years later if the loan is still unpaid. So whatever is there would be unpaid. So let's take a look at this even further. It says Biden wants to simply simplify the income-driven repayment plans, which is available for federal-backed student loan repayment, and typically help borrowers who are struggling financially first, of course. And Biden wants to make First, Biden would make the enrollment in income-driven repayment plans automatic, although you can opt out for sure. Everybody has that option. Second, the monthly payment will be capped at 5% because normally it's at 10 to 20%. So now it'll be capped at 5%, right? And then third, the student loan forgiveness would be automatically canceled or forgiven after 20 years. And fourth, unlike current income-driven repayment plans, student loan forgiveness would be tax-free. So this fourth change means that if you get $30,000 of student loan cancellation after 20 years, you would not owe any income taxes on this student loan balance. And so this is going to be something that is going to take some time, obviously, to go through. It's not going to be overnight, and it's not going to be, when the president sign on and say that the first 90 days and what they're planning to do. It's going to take some work for them to get there. And number 3 would be for student loan cancellation, public colleges. Biden also wants to forgive student loans for students who attend 2-year, 4-year public colleges and universities. Biden also would like to extend the student loan forgiveness to students who attended private historically black colleges, also known as HBCUs, or minority serving institutions, which are also known as MSIs, right? So there are also some exceptions to this that everybody should be aware of. So here are some of the exceptions for this, right? So number 1, student loan cancellation is only available for tuition-related student loans. So this would exclude any student loans for room and board. So student tuition alone, right? Because room and board, that's another ridiculous piece of the pie when it comes to college and students in college right now. It says so graduate school student loans would be excluded as well. So if you're a master's degree or any advanced degree, that's going to be excluded from this. So third, the proposal doesn't apply to student loans from private colleges and universities. Pretty well said. I mean, obviously it's pretty apparent because it said public colleges, so private colleges are not included into this. And fourth, you have to earn $125,000 or less per year to get student loan forgiveness. Now, if Congress passes this proposal, which would effectively be a federal subsidy for the states, this could reshape the future of higher education for sure. However, the biggest priority right now, as we all know, is going to be on the $2,000 stimulus plan, which is literally more people than ever has been affected by. So I know that the direction that this is going, it sounds good, but again, we got to take in consideration what's going on in Congress right now. They have an impeachment process 2.0 going on right now for our current president. They have the stimulus package that people are waiting for, their initial $600. They're waiting to see if they can pass the additional $1,400. And now, of course, the relieving or the cancellation of colleges and loans and forgiveness, all of that is going to be on the list, but possibly lower on the list. It wasn't even officially included in the $1.9 trillion plan. So this is something that's been mentioned. And so now that it's being talked about, the hope is that once Biden enters office after January 20th, it will be included in his first 100-day plan, right? So let's go ahead and, see what else that we have on this topic. So let's get you back on track with what has been going on so far. So what's been going on so far is that right now, the student loans, you have the ability to pause payments, right? Or suspend payments. And this happened last year during the pandemic because obviously people have lost their jobs out of the blue, so people aren't able to make their payments. So it makes sense that they have the ability to pause on paying on their student loans. But the deadline is coming up and it's fast approaching, so people are wondering what they should do and if this cancellation is going to come through. Well, here's what I would say. I would say don't hold your breath and please continue to make arrangements on how you would as if this bill never existed as far as canceling your loans. I want you to be prepared for making that next payment as soon as the deadline were to be approached. My guess is that they would be extending the date, but as of now, that has not been talked about and nothing is set in stone. Like I said, everything's up in the air, but there is hope, and so I don't want to leave you guys in the dark with that. So likely what's going to happen is that it's going to take some time for that to pass because there's a lot of processes it has to go through. It has to get passed through Congress and has to go through and a series of steps, and there has to be revised multiple times to make sure it makes sense, because otherwise making one wrong move in the $1 trillion mark, you could crash an economy pretty easily. So keep that in mind when you guys are considering or waiting or hoping for this bill to pass, okay? So another piece of information I wanted to share with you guys real quick, let's hop into my computer again. For those of you guys who have federal versus private student loans, understand that the payment pause only applies, unfortunately, to federal student loans, right? Most loans are federal, but some people may have private loans, or if they look out for multiple loans, a combination of the two, which means private and federal loans put together. Many people have that. So if you're not sure exactly what loans you currently have or what loans you currently are paying for or responsible for, go to studentaid.gov because that's going to allow you to see which ones are federally backed and which ones are private. So just so you know. So the question is, what if you only have private student loans, but you don't have any federally backed loans and you can't make the payments? Well, based on this article, here are some tips that you guys can actually take on. So it says here that some of the lenders are extending payment grace periods, but some aren't. So because there's so many private companies out there, it varies what they're allowing, what they're not. So what you have to do is going to be able to reach out to them and ask them about repayment plans and see if they can work with you given the situation. I mean, it's no surprise, it's no shock. Everyone knows that we're in a pandemic. So most likely they'll be able to work with you, right? So if the lender agrees to an alternative plan, get that agreement in writing so that way you can confirm your payments. And so that way you can also ask how it will be reported to the credit bureaus. Now, this part is extremely important. I want you guys to understand because, again, we're here to help you build and take control of your finances, right? Your personal finances, so that way you can set yourself up to start building that business and doing that side hustle, but you can if you have something like this standing in your way, right? So having something in writing, if you were to call your private lender and say, hey, I'd like to work out a new repayment plan, and they agree or they give you a different rate, make sure to ask, please send me that in writing, either via email or by mail, so that way you have a hard physical copy of them saying exactly that. Because what may happen is that they may report like you not paying on time, or they never had that conversation, or they may ask who did you speak to? And you may not remember the name, and they'd be like, what rep is that? That person no longer works here. You don't want to run into that issue. So be sure that whatever new terms that you guys negotiate, that you ask for a hard copy sent to you or sent to you by mail or email preferably because it's quicker. And that way you'll have that to protect yourself. So whenever the credit bureaus were to report something that's incorrect, you have hard paper documented evidence that this is exactly the negotiations that you guys worked out. This will save you tons. And so I really do feel for you guys who are out there struggling with this, but we're all in this together. And again, any updates that I do get, I will bring to you guys here first. I want to make sure you guys are getting all the information that you need to succeed, to take control of your personal finances, so that way you can start building out other streams of income. And I'm telling you, it's going to be worthwhile. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. So question of the day that I have for you guys, do you think that this federal student loan bill will be passed? Do you think that Biden will be able to get away with $10,000 across the board? Which one of the plans are your favorite? Tell me down below. I think that the $10,000 across the board may be a possibility. I think it's the most fair and the less exclusive one. So I think he might go with that plan, but I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you think that he's gonna go with that plan? Let me know down below. Don't forget to smash that like button and also hit subscribe so you don't miss any more of my releases. Hit that bell, because that bell notification will let you know when I release another one. And I'm coming in like hotcakes, so you guys don't want to miss out. Freedom Nation out. Peace.